Welcome back to Be Good Leadership. So glad that you're back here with us, where we're always discussing leading, teaching, and learning for better school communities. What does it mean to do our best? Actually, one of our family rules was always try your best. And it's something that we hear a lot in schools. We just want you to do your best. Well, I think that it's worth talking about because what does your best actually mean? And I think too often, because schools are all about grades and we get into evaluation of all types, we forget that actually our best is in a process. I like the definition, and always have, of success given by John Wooden. And I'm going to paraphrase here, but what he tends to say is that success is a sort of a self-satisfaction that we feel when we know we've done our best to become the best that we're capable of becoming. And the reason that that definition is so powerful is because it has achieved outcome independence. And what we know from research on top performers in every domain, this is going to count for leaders. This is going to count for star impact players, people who perform at all levels. High performers achieve a state of outcome independence. And this is so important. And what does outcome independence mean? It means we might have a goal, and we might have an outcome that we're driving towards, but what we really work on and how we measure our success is in the day-to-day process that we use to get there. So really, it comes down to defining our best as a process. So let me give you an example of how we use this in my own household. It was very common for my own children, who performed very well in school and performed very well in sports and most of the things they did. Proud father, of course. But it was normal for them to maybe sometimes come back and say, I don't know how well I did on that test or that assessment. Or to say, you know what, I don't know if I'm, ready for this game, right? This game's coming up and I'm kind of nervous about it. Now, if they talked to us about a test, it was normal for my wife and I to sit them down and go back through the process. Had they done their best to prepare? So a couple of things we would ask. We would say, hey, well, do you feel like you studied? Yes. Have you been paying attention in class? Yeah, I feel like I have. How have you done on the quizzes and assessments thus far? I've done pretty well on the quizzes and assessments. Did you look back over those quizzes and see what your mistakes were, and did you try to correct those? Yeah, I did that and everything. Did you ask any questions based on some of that? Did you ask some questions of your peers or your teachers? Yeah, I did. Did you study a little bit or just organize some time to get with some of your fellow students to maybe have some study time? Yes, I did that. What about asking teacher? Did you make yourself available maybe after school or try to go and ask your teacher some questions directly on anything that you weren't sure of? Yeah, I did that. She was available for about 30 minutes and I went and asked some review questions. Then you've done what you can do. You've done everything you can in terms of process. You've been paying it as a student. You've been paying attention in class. You've been asking questions. When you've been prepared for the formative assessments or the quizzes you've been taking, and then you've been going back and looking at the feedback you got from those quizzes and trying to self-study and correct, and then coming forward to ask questions and trying to ask questions of your peers, but then also asking questions of teachers to get clarity. You've done the best you can. And now what we would say is, well, whatever happens, happens. Whatever the outcome is, we'll take that and make any adjustments. And oftentimes the outcome ends up being what you want, what you think it's going to be. Sometimes it doesn't, but you continue to learn from it because the outcome is not the only thing your best is dependent on. It's, did you prepare well? Did you do the best you could in the preparation process to perform? That is our best. Because when we think about life in and of itself, if we're doing well at it, is a process. For a school leader, have you communicated a clear vision? Are you communicating a clear vision and communicating that as consistently as you can, keeping people focused on what the most important things are? Are you doing that consistently? Are you trying to avoid overwhelm? Are you making sure that you're not adding things to teachers' plates that don't actually move the needle in the most important things? Are you making sure not to get enamored with the fuzzy new initiative or any kind of cool idea that comes into your head, and keeping yourself and teachers focused on what matters most? Are you checking in with teachers? Are you asking how they're doing? Are you wondering what their challenges are? Asking them what's challenging them the most right now. And then are you taking steps to try to help out? Are you trying to remove obstacles from them? Are you protecting their time? Are you being available for students? Are you making time to provide resources to teachers and feedback on the most important things? This is all in process. I haven't talked at all about whether or not every student is getting an A, any of that kind of thing. If every single parent or every single piece of feedback evaluation that you get is great for your own performance. What I'm saying is, as a school leader, you need to be focused on just what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Are you, these practices that move the needle, are you engaging in those? Or are you spending time on other things? Are you surfing the web? Are you avoiding some of these high impact processes? Because that's what would be your best. For a teacher, it's as simple as this. Over and over and over again, the 20% of things that get 80% of teacher results are as follows. Clear objective. Are you clear each time you go into class what you want students to get from that lesson? In every lesson, is there time for some kind of guided practice where you can guide kids to learn the skill that you're trying to teach them and give them feedback in real time? Next, checks for understanding. In each lesson that you give, are there checks for understanding during the lesson, at least by the end of the lesson, that give you information on whether or not the kids are learning? You haven't taught it unless the kids have learned it. Are you making time for retrieval practice? Are you using research-backed cognitive science practices, the two probably most important? Are they having time for retrieval practice where they're being forced to recall information, to bring information forward? And is there some spaced repetition? Meaning, are you at different points in the unit circling back and seeing if they actually know some of the stuff you taught earlier? Are you doing those things? And then using what information you're gathering about student learning to plan again, make adjustments. These are the things that you're focused on. Because in that process, you are doing the best you can as a teacher. If you hit that process every single day, if that is what you're thinking about, if those are the things that you're trying to check the boxes for, that you're trying to make happen, that maybe you're even ended up researching on how to do them better, we have to trust that the outcomes will be what they should be. So over and over again, we're looking at our best is about a process, and we have to help people define that. Just what I did right now, I'm just giving a little bit of definition for what it looks like to try your best in process for a school leader, for a student, and for a teacher. For a parent, I don't even want to get in that, but parent, make sure you're checking in, you're asking questions, even if your kids are annoyed by the questions, and letting them know that and offer support, right? And then help your kid define what their best looks like. What parents can do most is help your kid define what their best looks like, because so many kids think that everything is outcome dependent. They think their parent actually doesn't care how they get the grade as long as they get the grade. And when that happens, when people are too focused on outcome dependence, when their best is only defined by the outcome, they're willing to cheat, they're willing to cut corners, they're willing to do all kind of crazy things just to reach that, instead of the stuff that we know is going to make them a better person, a stronger individual, and a higher performer in actuality, and build their confidence, which is doing their best as a day-to-day practice. Falling short, stepping back up again, learning, but continuing consistently to try their best, and we have to define that for them. And of course, maybe the most important, what is it to be a good person? Be grateful every day. Be honest, be kind, and continue trying to learn and grow. Let's define our best. Our best is in process. You guys, be good.